animal?
Maybe
Like, do you have a bunny rabbit?
Maybe let's say like an animal who
Yes. Oh. Definitely pet a bunny rabbit.
But this one was cool. So this study, you've probably heard some mention of this before, but they've found that petting an animal will lower your blood pressure, but it will also lower your cortisol. And double bonus, it also lowers the cortisol for the animal. So it's kind of a win-win for the two of you. And what's fun is that they actually found the reduction in cortisol is actually even greater if you're not a pet owner yourself.
Huh.
Like getting to pet an animal.
Is it because it's like novel?
Well, that's the thing is, it's like, is it that that's greater because it's novel, or is it that the people who own pets are already experiencing some of the benefits? And so for them, like the little extra benefits, not as much as someone who's at full stress capacity. And then
So,
pets an animal.
so the takeaway being that regardless, anytime you feel like you have high cortisol, if it's NRE or just normal day-to-day stress or whatever, definitely go ask to pet other people's pets.
Yep.
Okay.
Totally.
Love it. I can totally take that away. Love it.
Totally.
For sure.
I love this podcast.
No problem. So something to help actually boost your serotonin levels are supplements. There's a lot out there. Stuff like saffron, which I've heard is actually pretty expensive. I know it's expensive when it's put on like food.
Yeah, if you buy it as a spice, I don't know what the supplements are like.
Yeah, actually, that's one I haven't looked into, yeah.
Maybe it's just the spice, but yeah, the spice can get pretty pricey. But 5-HTP, which heard about that in regards to a couple things, but yeah, 5-HTP for sure. Vitamins B6 and B12. All you vegans out there, you get that B12.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also folate. Yes?
Yeah, no, I was going to say there's another one that I was just reading about that is not as well known. It's called ashwagandha. And it's a like a root of some sort. But like the extract of this has been shown in studies to increase cortisol levels when taken just like a little bit in the morning and the evening.
Interesting.
So that might also be something to look into. I haven't actually taken that one myself.
Increased serotonin levels?
Sorry, yes. Increased serotonin.
Okay.
Feeling more satisfied, lowering anxiety, lowering stress, stuff like that is also maybe, it's one of these sort of, people like to say it'll cure everything, but the studies I read about were specifically about cortisol and serotonin. They would help lower stress and also raise your serotonin.
Okay, so those are kind of all our science-y things that you can do in order to kind of help balance out the issues that may come up, like from a more chemical level when you're falling in love or in NRE with someone. But let's talk about like external behaviors more so.
Okay.
So first of all, like we talked about at the top of this episode, that when you're in NRE, it's definitely more difficult for you to empathize with, let's say, like a partner of yours who's maybe having a hard time, whether that's them having a hard time with you being in NRE or having a hard time with any other things. Like, because you're so laser focused, it becomes really hard to tap into that empathy. And first of all, just having an awareness of that really helps. Like, just recognizing that during this time period, your ability to empathy may be compromised. And so you're probably going to need to overcompensate a little bit more than maybe you normally would. That means maybe checking in with your partner a little bit more, maybe verbally affirming their feelings a little bit more, affirming that you hear them or that you understand how they could feel this particular way. And I think kind of like a tip that we've talked about on a previous episode, if a partner shares with you, maybe they're like, oh, I don't know, like I feel neglected because you've been out of the house so often, going on so many dates with so-and-so, that like maybe it's not wrong for you to be going on dates with so-and-so, but for you to mirror back, like, oh, I totally understand why you would feel that way then. If it feels like I'm always gone, I totally understand how you would feel neglected. So being able to use that kind of language to really be able to affirm and empathize with your partner's feelings.
Yeah, to make sure that you're not just being like, no, that's not the case. You're not invalidating
to get all defensive.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
Another one that we love to talk about is don't sign anything in the first year. Don't make any major life decisions. As we've seen, your ability to look at them critically is compromised, as well as like these feelings of addiction and euphoria when you're with them. So when we say don't sign anything, we mean don't sign like a marriage contract, a cell phone plan, a lease. Don't even like make plans to sign those things. I should clarify even further. Just don't do it. It can wait. right? If you believe in true love, then, as they say, true love waits to sign leases.
Right. Don't adopt an animal together.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Anything
did
that
that.
involves having to sign legal documents.
Yeah, don't
Just
put your
don't.
signature on anything connected to this person within the first year if you can help it. And that applies to major life decisions also, like choosing to move across the country to live in the same city as like this person you just met a month ago. Maybe not a great decision. Maybe it'll turn out after a year that like, oh, actually we are really compatible and I would love to move there, but like maybe not so much in the first month.
Right. But it's this thing of like, if you don't go yet, and then you find out, more than a year later, it's like, yeah, we really want to do this, then you can do that with confidence. And it's still okay. Whereas the other option, if you do it and then realize it's not going to work out, you've really screwed yourself over.
Right.
Totally.
And then the next one that's kind of related to this is to listen to the people around you. And this is your family, your friends, your other partners. You can take it with a grain of salt, but pay attention if other people are picking up on things about this new partner that you might not be. Right? If they're sort of like, I don't know, like they seem just kind of shady, or like they were weird that they didn't want to be friends with me at all or even talk to me, or, right, whatever it is, again, take it with a grain of salt because everyone has their own baggage coming into it, but still listen.
But again, your ability to be socially critical is really inhibited.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to have somebody to have a little bit of a perspective where you may not be able to. And also journal about your experience. This is something that's really cool to look back on potentially later on, but also to sort of be able to like write down all of the great things that you might be feeling and that might be happening, but also maybe some of the things that are potential red flags. Anything that comes up that you're like, I don't know why they said that. What do I actually think about that? Let me like take the time to write it out instead of just being in front of them and like having all these emotions come up. I think it gives you a little bit of distance from them and allows you to sort of write it down and have like a different method of figuring that out. And also regarding the displacement stuff, with other partners, just make sure to create really intentional date time and really intentional quality time for your existing partners. Also, like, look cute for them too. Like, shower and shave, put on some makeup, look awesome. If that's something that you're into, just basically make an effort for them, because it may seem as though you're only making an effort for the new partner, but instead also, show that you care about your existing partners.
Yeah, I have to say all the time what I see working with clients is I see, like, especially with people who live together, that this comes up a lot of, like, I see my partner, get ready and shave and get all nice and fancy and put on cologne and, like, head out to his date, and then I just get, like, normal t-shirt and sweats version of him, and like he never puts in that effort for me. And then on the flip side, often with like newer relationships or newer partners of someone who's in a relationship with someone who lives with another partner, they often complain about the opposite of like, yeah, we go out on dates and we have a good time, but like I don't get any of that like day-to-day stuff. Like we don't go grocery shopping together. We don't get to just like hang out on the couch and chill together. We don't, and so
the grass is always greener, is what you're saying.
Completely so. So I always encourage people to just bear that in mind and, do a little fromance-ship, relationship anarchy style kind of thing and kind of try to balance that a little bit. Like, what are the things about like day-to-day kind of bonded existing relationship energy that you can bring to your new relationships, and also vice versa? What are like the efforts and like the ways that you get excited and like the little things that you do when you're in the thick of NRE that you can bring to your existing relationship as well. If you haven't talked with your partner about this already, or your other partners about this, have a conversation about texting etiquette, about how you feel. I mean, I feel like, at least anecdotally, most people that I know, like, are totally understanding and willing to have agreements around like, okay, well, if we're on a date, then we're, going to be polite and like not pay attention to our phones or not be glued to our phones, or if we're having dinner or if we're trying to get the kids to bed or something like that, like there's definitely specific times where we agree like we'll just be kind of focused here. But just have that conversation about what actually makes you comfortable and what doesn't. Some people are more comfortable with like, if we're watching a movie, like I'd rather that we're not on our phones. Other people are like, no, that's fine. If we want to be like looking at our phones occasionally and texting people. Other people are more comfortable with the idea of, You know, just if you feel like you need to call someone, just let me know and then step out and then call them.